I believe that they gave me a raw deal because this industry is a monster. It's the same monster that these Me Too trying to tell you about. But they hate the monster for how it eats, and I hate that monster for how it eats. But my God, man, it's the same monster.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
We're listening to Mike right now. Obviously, you know, this is a really sad time right now, but we're celebrating his life. Your thoughts right now on the situation and the timing of this tragedy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, he just somebody that changed my life. You know what I'm saying? Somebody I'll always love and cherish.
I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, Astroglide, candles, incense, liquor, lights, tons of toiletries, drugs.
They all shared the same secret fear. The greatest entertainers the world adored were quietly terrified of one man. Not because he had bigger hits or flashier moves, but because he kept a ledger of the things that happened in rooms where the lights were supposed to be off. Michael Jackson didn't merely glide across stages, he moved through corridors nobody else wanted to walk. He collected whispers, receipts, and uncomfortable truths. The kind that could topple reputations and shift power.
You're not supposed to do this in my business. I'm up here doing something that nobody else in this business has the balls to do. I'm telling you something that you need to know. I'm trying to explain to you what you're seeing. You don't understand what you're seeing. I am publicly flogging a network. And I know that this network, they watching me and they saying, why are you doing this so publicly? Doesn't feel good to be flogged publicly. Oh, believe me, I know exactly how that feels. When I quit my show, they said I was crazy. What was crazy about it? I just didn't want to do it anymore. They said I smoked crack. That's impossible. I was a devout Muslim. I didn't smoke or drink. But I do now because you ruined my life.
While everyone else learned to play by the unspoken rules, Michael kept the rulebook close enough to choke whoever tried to rewrite it. Neverland was more than a fantasy playground. It was a stronghold where leverage was gathered and preserved. To understand why Hollywood's power players slept with one eye open at the mention of his name, you have to see the pattern. Speak up, and the system responds. Dave Chappelle was the first big star to make that response public, to pull back the curtain and say, this is how things work. The surface story that the tabloids ran was neat and snackable. Nervous breakdown, sudden exile, a millionaire running off to Africa. But the real story was about a man refusing to be a puppet.
I'm glad you're here. Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
I wasn't walking away from the money. I was walking away from the circumstances with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. I've heard the stories, seen these kinds of things play out in front of me. I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, they're trying to kill me.
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah.
It's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress because, when you're a guy that generates money, people have a vested interest in controlling it.
Dave didn't bolt because he hated success. He walked because he refused to be owned by a machine that chews up people who step out of line. What the industry did to him wasn't random cruelty. It was a carefully orchestrated campaign meant to discredit, intimidate, and teach anyone watching that dissent comes at a price. When you watch the way major platforms frame Dave's exit, you see the same playbook that met Michael every time he resisted. The narrative, pathologize the messenger, and redirect the sympathy. Explain away serious critique as instability, and then move on, as if nothing important happened. That's not storytelling. That's containment.
How do you feel about him as a person, as an artist?
Martin Lawrence is the guy that showed everybody you can make it from D.C. to Hollywood. And I had a personal stake in his success. Every time he did something, it made me feel inspired and really good. And he was always real nice to me. He'd sit me down, what's going on with you, baby boy? What? We'd talk about comedy, whatever. And
You know, when we did Blue Streak, we were promoting it, and Martin had a stroke. He almost died. And then after that, I saw him, and I was like, oh my God, Martin, are you okay? And he said, I got the best sleep I ever got in my life. That's how tough he is. So let me ask you this. What is happening in Hollywood that a guy that tough will be on the street waving a gun, screaming, they are trying to kill me?
Yeah.
What's going on? Why is Dave Chappelle going to Africa? Why does Mariah Carey make a $100 million deal and take her clothes off on TRL? A weak person cannot get to sit here and talk to you. Ain't no weak people talking to you. So what is happening in Hollywood? Nobody knows. The worst thing to call somebody is crazy, is dismissive. I don't understand this person, so they're crazy. These people are not crazy. They're strong people. Maybe the environment is a little sick.
They didn't just punish behavior, they rewired the public to accept the punishment as truth. The result? Artists who tried to resist were painted as eccentrics or dangerous. Their legitimate fears reduced to footnotes in tabloid columns. Retreats to Africa, to Neverland, were recast as derangement rather than self-preservation. But what looks like eccentricity might actually be survival strategy, a way to stay sane when the whole environment is trying to break you. Look closer and the pattern sharpens. Martin Lawrence's public collapse was packaged as a private failing, but those who watched up close saw something else. A man who'd been pushed and pressured until the only place left to fight back was on the street. The same standard play was used against Mariah Carey, against other stars who were suddenly unwell, right when they were about to cross a new threshold in their careers. The industry's timing is never random.
Ethos, or somebody once said my problem was I didn't understand the social contract here. I now understand what that means.
Yeah.
Do you understand it?
The social contract?
Yeah.
I think I do.
Yeah. What is it for you?
The social contract. You can't get mad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get mad. You can't let it get you, because you have to make a deal with everyone else, and it's almost unspoken that you are going to be over at some point by people who you may have done something nice for.
Mm.
And it may happen that by circumstance, or even very purposefully, that you've over. But that shouldn't get in the way of you being able to sit down and have fun with them. Am I on the right track?
Absolutely.
You can't build a resentment about it.
Mm.
You have to still try and love those people.
Yeah.
Because that's the way they're thinking.
Because it ain't personal.
No, it's not personal. They don't really mean to hurt you.
No.
Not really. I don't quite understand. Well, I mean, there's a lot of motivations for why it happens. Yes, many.
I mean, money will make you do stuff as well, won't it? I mean,
Yes.
one, them, us,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, well, whoever.
If there's many millions riding on a decision, it's hard to be philosophical.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very hard. Very hard to be, you you have to choose what level of integrity you're coming in at. And
Okay.
and I've often felt it. I've sat there and I have felt the knife slipped firmly in between my shoulder blades and tried to have it shoved through the other side through my heart. And I've actually felt the whole thing, and I've gone, wait till next week, or I'll think you fucking, and you'll resent it for a little while, then you have to let it go. Otherwise, you'll eat yourself alive.
It tends to happen when someone is about to move from being useful to being dangerous. That's the moment the so-called social contract kicks in, a tacit agreement to swallow betrayals, to let your back be turned, to keep smiling even while you're being stabbed. It's betrayal dressed as business, and the cost of refusing that contract has always been high. Mel Gibson described the same things in a different voice. Not the celebrity who fled, but the veteran who understood how the backstage economy runs. He laid out a brutal fact. This world isn't built on talent alone. It's built on power dynamics, on unwritten rules that keep the privileged in control and the rest in line. You learn to accept the slights, the backstabs, the compromises, because survival depends on it. Most people either learn to live with that or they get chewed up. Michael Jackson didn't learn to accept it. He documented it. He watched how reputations could be pivoted in an instant, how a single narrative could be spun to bury someone's credibility. That made him different, and, in a world where silence is the currency, extremely dangerous. The mechanism is mechanical and merciless. Small humiliations escalate into full-blown character assassination. Private eccentricities are amplified into public pathology. Sympathy is reallocated away from the one who sees the machine and onto the machine itself. Stories circulate about producers and executives pivoting scenes, inserting humiliating bits, or weaponizing jokes that become a way to humiliate and deflate. There's a pattern of entrapment, nudges, then pressure, then the public spectacle, and it moves faster than anyone expects. Michael wasn't merely unlucky, he was operating in a system wired to neutralize anyone who threatened structural secrecy. He built a fortress at Neverland, not to hide from fame, but to keep evidence safe, to create distance from a network whose default setting was cover-up. Narrative control is where true power lives. Oprah perfected it. She could elevate a soul or bury them with the same microphone.
I mean, I'm a conspiracy theorist to a degree. Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, these brothers gotta wear a dress. That's happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here. They come in. The writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a dude. And he put this dress on and what? No, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're right. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much money. You know, the pressure comes in. He said, I'm not wearing no dress, man. I'm funnier than a dress. Just give me something funny to say. I don't need to wear no dress to be funny. What am I, Milton Berle? You know, we're going like this. And then finally he's like, and he leaves. And then like the director comes, Dave, it really would be great if you wear the dress. What is wrong? What is this, Brokeback Mountain in here? So, you know, like wear the dress. I don't want to wear the dress. I want to wear this dress. You know what I mean? This is, oh gosh, this guy's so difficult. They leave. Now the producers comes, come on, David would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, you know, strong brothers, why they be putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress. I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine. Think of something else. Guy comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene. Damn, how did you write the scene so fast? You know, it's like, so you gotta take a stand.
She learned to define who got empathy and who got canceled. That kind of control terrifies people who operate on mutual silence, because the one person who refuses to sign the social contract can undo decades of careful arrangement. When Oprah distanced herself from Michael after his death, it wasn't just about personal friendship, it was about institutional self-preservation, platforming accusers while ignoring other victims in different contexts.
But for me, this moment transcends Michael Jackson. It is much bigger than any one person.
Oprah Winfrey opened up about her decision to speak to Michael Jackson's accusers for her After Neverland special when she stopped by The Daily Show on Wednesday night. Last month, Winfrey made headlines when she sat down with Michael Jackson accusers for Oprah Winfrey Presents After Neverland, which aired on HBO following the explosive documentary about the singer titled Leaving Neverland.
If they ever found out what we were doing, he and I would go to jail.
Winfrey said of her decision to do the special, I haven't had that much hateration since I did the puppy episode with Ellen DeGeneres, aka the episode in which DeGeneres came out as gay. The talk show host continued, but when I saw that documentary, I realized that a lot of people are going to be triggered by watching it, and a lot of people will not understand what the pattern is. Winfrey explained, people call it but there is a big seducing that goes on, and that was important enough for me to take the hateration for.
Reveals a logic. Narrative wins, nuance loses. The net effect is simple. If you have the megaphone, you decide which truths are marketable and which dangerous. Meanwhile, others who saw the system from different angles added their confirmations. Jim Carrey's disgust at the industry's reflexes, the way celebrities rallied to protect their own, showed that this wasn't conspiracy paranoia but an observed phenomenon. Insider accounts from people who ran point at powerful figures.
Who's, even though we're on a cruise, is watching all the newses and reading all the newspapers. And she said, something's happened to Michael. I don't think it's good. And it scared me because in 1998, I think that was the year, I was in another hotel room. Gail was in, and Gail called and said, something's happened to Princess Diana. I don't think it's good. So when I heard that, immediately I thought, oh my God, could it be? And so we were all stunned. And
did you ever consider going to either the memorial service or the funeral?
No, I did not consider going to the memorial service or the funeral because I did not consider myself to be a friend of his. And I didn't want to be one of those people showing up just because it's Michael Jackson. So no, I didn't, because I was not a friend. I was someone who had interviewed him and at the time really had a lot of compassion for him. And
those feelings about him changed over the years?
The feelings didn't change. In terms of my sense of compassion for him, what I felt was a sense of sadness. I never knew, what the truth was.
The staff who prepared rooms, deleted footage, or carried supplies, painted a picture of institutional facilitation. Parties staged, materials provided, evidence is erased. The pattern is vivid. Parties where incriminating behavior was normalized, staff who were complicit.
So back in 2007, Oprah Winfrey thought it would be a good idea to open up a boarding school in South Africa. She was inspired by Nelson Mandela and made a promise to him that she was going to create this school. The academy is called Leadership Academy for Girls. Actually, the government of South Africa was against Oprah opening this school because it's an extremely expensive place and the population there is extremely poor. But yet she opens this school and it's got salons in it, it's got gyms in it. I mean, some people think that this was a place for kids to be human trafficked because they would go and get them ready there for sale. And honestly, we don't need to talk about that conspiracy, but we need to talk about the scandals that have gone down at this school.
These are my girls. These are my girls.
Oprah, look up there. Great.
Yeah.
So Oprah built this $40 million school in South Africa, and they had 152 students attend. Oprah actually handpicked the 152 students who attended her school, but it wasn't long until some of these students were being harmed by one of the employees of the school. Her name is Virginia, and she was 27 years old at the time, and she was charged with 13 counts of getting inappropriate with the kids. Virginia got physical with at least 6 students aged 13 to 15. So these students were handpicked by Oprah to go and live at this academy, and one of these employees who is managing the dorm is physically touching them and doing things to them and harming them. This was a bad look for South Africa because they have had a problem with children being harmed at school by these employees. But ultimately, Oprah put them in this situation to be harmed by this employee. That wasn't the only scandal that came out of Oprah's school, because ever since it's been open, there's been scandal after scandal. Less than 2 years later, there was another incident where some students were getting physical with each other, and there was a 15-year-old who urged to these victims to keep everything on the down low and not to tell their parents or investigators what happened. So 7 students were suspended from the school, and these girls were alleged to have been intimidating others into partaking in inappropriate behaviors. A letter sent to one of the suspended girls' parents reportedly read, "You have been found guilty of physical contact contact of a intimate nature with another person on campus, harassment, bullying of other girls on campus, and of being dishonest by not telling investigators the whole truth. So I don't understand why Oprah just went to this school like less than a year ago to fix things, yet this is still going on. I mean, how does this 15-year-old get away with preying on their schoolmates and coercing them into lying to officials
in a system that treated privacy like a bargaining chip? Michael didn't speculate about these mechanics, he watched them happen. So what made him the ultimate threat? Others either fled, bent, or accepted the unspoken economy of betrayal. Michael did neither. He stayed, he recorded, he preserved what he saw. In a culture where silence is the glue, the one person with both global reach and a refusal to stay quiet.
So when some people think Oprah Winfrey, they think Harvey Weinstein because they have been linked together so often. First off, Oprah and Harvey have been friends for over 2 decades. A lot of people use the argument that she didn't know about what he was doing, but that's impossible because everyone's known about Harvey Weinstein's reputation ever since the 90s. If you guys don't know who Harvey Weinstein is, he is a major film producer who is pretty much the face of the Me Too movement because he was called out by a bunch of different actresses who he violated. When he was getting canceled and exposed for everything that he has done, Oprah allegedly called him and offered her support. Even though Oprah's team denies this, I believe it because Oprah has been close with Harvey and she has showed him some sympathy over time. Even though he is a disgusting man and he deserves to rot in jail. But I don't understand why Oprah wants to be best friends with someone like Harvey Weinstein. They had a very warm friendship, and the photos show. Some people actually believe that Oprah convinced some actresses to hook up with Harvey Weinstein. And actually, Rose McGowan tweeted out, "I'm glad more people are seeing the ugly truth of Oprah. I wish she were real, but she..."
Becomes a live fuse next to a powder keg. That's why he mattered, and why so many powerful people feared the consequences of what he might eventually reveal. The final questions are the ones that keep people up. If Michael left behind evidence, who controls it now? Are there other celebrities right now gathering the same kind of dossier, waiting for a moment when the shape of power shifts enough to let the truth out? The public is told these collapses are personal flaws, but the reality is more sinister. They are orchestrated narratives, rehearsed in boardrooms before they ever hit the front page. The headlines are neat because they serve a purpose. They reassure audiences that the star simply lost it, while concealing the system that applied relentless pressure until breaking was inevitable. Every scandal is a performance within a performance where the actor doesn't even realize they've been cast in a role until the cameras are already rolling. And for the industry, it's efficient. By labeling someone unstable, the machine not only erases the credibility of their words, but it also warns the next generation of artists, speak out, and this will be your fate too. What makes this pattern even more chilling is its consistency across decades and genres. It doesn't matter if the star is a comedian, a pop singer, or an actor. The same choreography repeats. First, the buildup of stress behind the scenes. Sudden contract disputes, creative battles, whispers of sabotage. Then, the public spectacle. Paparazzi shots, late night jokes, carefully planted leaks. Finally, the conclusion is sealed by experts and commentators who echo the line that the person is unstable, dangerous, or incapable of handling fame. This cycle doesn't just destroy careers, it reshapes memory itself. Over time, the public forgets the truth and remembers only the caricature, leaving the system free to keep running the same play on whoever dares to resist next.
I was sickened. I was sickened by the standing ovation. I felt like Hollywood is just spineless, en masse. And it really felt like, oh, this is a really clear indication that we're not the cool club anymore.
Jim Carrey weighing in on Will Smith's Oscar controversy during a new interview with Gayle King for CBS Mornings.
They asked Chris, do you want to file charges? And Chris apparently said no, he did not.
He doesn't want the hassle. I'd announced this morning that I was suing Will for $200 million because that video is going to be there forever.
Is that a gang sign? Have you,
Oh, like you don't know what it is. You don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
You don't know. Jimmy Fallon doesn't know. David Letterman doesn't know.
We don't know.
All the comics and show business don't know what this is. Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh.
But the pattern is not. History shows us that exposure rarely happens in a straight line. It takes time, survivors willing to speak in moments when the public finally starts asking the right questions. 15 years can pass, and still the truth finds a way to surface. Sometimes it needs two comedians brave enough to step out of the machine and say plainly what everyone else has been thinking.
So back in 2007, Oprah Winfrey thought it would be a good idea to open up a boarding school in South Africa. She was inspired by Nelson Mandela and made a promise to him that she was going to create this school. The academy is called Leadership Academy for Girls. Actually, the government of South Africa was against Oprah opening this school because it's an extremely expensive place and the population there is extremely poor. But yet she opens this school and it's got salons in it, it's got gyms in it. I mean, some people think that this was a place for kids to be human trafficked because they would go and get them ready there for sale. And honestly, we don't need to talk about that conspiracy, but we need to talk about the scandals that have gone down at this school.
These are my girls. These are my girls. Oprah, look up and look out there. Great. Well done. Yeah.
So Oprah built this $40 million school in South Africa, and they had 152 students attend. Oprah actually handpicked the 152 students who attended her school, but it wasn't long until some of these students were being harmed by one of the employees of the school. Her name is Virginia, and she was 27 years old at the time, and she was charged with 13 counts of getting inappropriate with the kids. Virginia got physical with at least 6 students aged 13 to 15. So these students were handpicked by Oprah to go and live at this academy, and one of these employees who is managing the dorm is physically touching them and doing things to them and harming them. This was a bad look for South Africa because they have had a problem with children being harmed at school by these employees. But ultimately, Oprah put them in this situation to be harmed by this employee. That wasn't the only scandal that came out of Oprah's school, because ever since it's been open, there's been scandal after scandal. Less than 2 years later, there was another incident where some students were getting physical with each other, and there was a 15-year-old who urged to these victims to keep everything on the down low and not to tell their parents or investigators what happened. So 7 students were suspended from the school, and these girls were alleged to have been intimidating others into partaking in inappropriate behaviors. A letter sent to one of the suspended girls' parents reportedly read, "You have been found guilty of physical contact of a intimate nature with another person on campus, harassment, bullying of other girls on campus, and of being dishonest by not telling investigators the whole truth." So I don't understand why Oprah just went to this school like less than a year ago to fix things, yet this is still going on. I mean, how does this 15-year-old get away with preying on their schoolmates and coercing them into lying to a
Sometimes it takes a single stubborn man who refused to trade his conscience for silence. The machine is strong, but it is not invincible. Keep watching, keep listening, keep asking who benefits when the story ends and who was silenced when it began.
They were celebrity-driven parties. I happened to come in at a time where he was throwing his 50th birthday party, and they spent millions of dollars building this outside structure in his backyard in Los Angeles. I couldn't believe, like, wow, I'm a part of this now. Like, it was so, again, exquisite. It was just huge.
But the gloss quickly wore off as his tasks became more sinister. Phil was not only ordered to source a constant supply of drugs for Diddy, he was then forced to carry them around the country.
So we had a laundry list of items that needed to be with us at all times. You know, we'd have their marijuana joints on us. We would have the mushrooms on us. We had a kind of a ditty pack is what they would call it. And we would keep a satchel on us, and that's what we would have in that satchel.
Always on call, Phil witnessed many things he now wishes he hadn't. He says he worked on the periphery of Diddy's now infamous parties known as freak-offs, although he knew them by another name.
They were referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, Astroglide, candles, incense, liquor, lights, tons of toiletries, drugs.
Phil wasn't in the room for the parties, but he didn't have to be. He knew exactly what went on behind closed doors because one of his jobs was deleting the very incriminating videos of the Wild King Nights from his boss's iPhones and iPads.
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and, smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks. It's every day, every hour.
Like and subscribe for more content from us. And remember, no better place to discuss this than in the comment section. See you there.